So in today's video, I want to go over the exact process we did to get this site from 0 clicks, 0 impressions to basically a year later or less than a year later, all the way up to 36,000 clicks and over 1.5 million impressions. And if you look over the past 28 days, and actually if you compare the past 28 days to the previous period, you can see that it's basically doubled in clicks. So 5.77K to 10K 10K clicks in the last 28 days, which was beyond the goal that we laid out for this particular client. So pretty crazy stuff in a short amount of time. I want to show you the exact process we did to get this website to that level and how you can do it pretty easily on your end with a combination of AI and some SEO, baseline SEO expertise and competitive analysis. So let's jump right in. So this site was in like the fitness nutrition niche. So what we did initially was we created a content roadmap, and to do that roadmap, we used ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, I'm sure you're all aware of what it is, but it's extremely useful when it comes to doing this sort of baseline research and kind of getting an SEO campaign off the ground. What we do to start is we first of all we have to program the chat because chat is only as good as the information you feed to it, the inputs. So for this example, let's say we are a fitness, and I would get even more specific. So let's say we are a men's fitness and nutrition brand that is looking to become a thought leader in this space. What are the best blog topics to help us reach topical authority in this space? And another step you can take here is you can include entities. So you can say include the following entities, and this would essentially be sort of like short tail keywords, more or less high level keywords. And what chat will do is they'll take the high level keywords and they'll be able to break them out into smaller sort of subtopics. So you'll be able to hit topical authority that feeds into those main keywords, but you're able to do it obviously by creating those subtopics, because that's what topical authority is, right? It's creating those subtopics, answering every element of that main keyword through those subtopics. But for this example, let's just start here and see what it gives us. So we see here, to establish your brand as a thought leader in the men's fitness and nutrition, you need to create content that resonates with the audience, but also showcases your expertise. Okay. So here's sort of the way they're giving it to us here. There are some potential blog topics here for sure, but it's giving it to us in a cluster type of format, which I think is actually really great, right? Because we can kind of drill into this and reverse engineer by looking at the top level concepts like foundational fitness knowledge. So that's just kind of the basic stuff, I guess. Advanced techniques. So this gets into more of the specificity about the different training options and different stuff you can do. Then the nutrition side, the food side of things, the mental side of things, lifestyle, and so forth. So this is actually a pretty good start. And again, this is very similar to what we did to get the ball rolling. So what I would do here is I would say, I would look at each of these clusters, and this is actually a pretty good starting point. But I would say, so what I would do here essentially I would look through each of these items. So go through each bullet point and try to dissect what overall keyword family they would be a part of, right? Because like foundational fitness knowledge, that's not really a keyword family. That's more of just a concept. But when you look inside of these, you'll see, okay, this is about muscle growth. So that maybe it would be a muscle sort of category. This would be maybe a nutrition category, strength category. Maybe this is the same thing as muscle. I don't know. Then you could get into here. Maybe this is more nutrition. This talks about protein, carbs, and fats. So you'd want to start putting these items underneath buckets like that. And for this, you'll want to probably want to open up a separate spreadsheet like this. And you just start putting them into different clusters. So you say topic cluster 1. And we go back and we would say let's say strength, just strength overall, right? So we go like this. Let's say we want 5 topics for that. That's 6. I can't count. There we go. Topic cluster 1 is strength. Okay, then we have topic name. So we go back to here. And we'd say, so what I would do is I would take one of these because these are kind of similar. And I would say, like, grab this and say, give me a topic cluster within the strength category with topics similar to this, and then just paste that in. And this will just help you slowly create these clusters, right? It's not an exact science. You're going to still have to go through and find the best keyword targets, but this gives you a really good basis to start from. So we can see here how to create your first strength training program. Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable. So we'd want to like take that topic, paste it into Google. Okay, and I use a tool, an extension called Keywords Everywhere, so it shows you the search volume. No search volume here. There's a little glitch with it where sometimes it will not show you search results. This is a new phenomenon I've noticed, so let me fix that really quickly. Now we can see the results here. So the top results, how to plan a weight training program, strength training, beginner's guide, which is similar to what we have here, right? How to create your first strength training program, guide to starting a strength training program. And there's some competitive sources here for sure. But you can see that this might be a top level cluster article to include. And it'd probably be something that's very in depth, includes a lot of graphics, visuals, tables, FAQs. But essentially, you would, take a topic like that and you would plug it into your sheet. So you do something like that. So topic name could be that. And then you could drill in more to the keyword research side, enter this into SEMrush or Ahrefs, find the top keywords for the posts that are ranking here. So basically reverse engineer all these posts, figure out what their keywords are, plug those keywords into your sheet, add a keyword column, and you're off and running. So essentially, you're going to go through, and if anyone's interested, I can create a more robust sheet than this, and I'd be happy to share it with you. If you leave a comment, I'd be happy to provide this as a downloadable you can kind of take and use as your keyword research template, more or less. But this is how it's going to look. And typically what we'll do is we'll have this entire site here is sort of the initial keyword research phase. So, or I should say initial topic research. And we'll just build out our clusters here. And then we'll have another tab that's content planning. Okay, and this would include your, month. It'd be similar, but it'd be like, your month 1, and then you'd have all your topics here, and then month 2, and so forth like that. So essentially, you're just going to keep doing this process here and just drill into different topics. But when it comes time to actually create the content, there's a couple ways to do it, right? You can either hire a writer who's highly experienced, who knows SEO and who knows the topic, or you can leverage AI and optimize it using AI, or I should say optimize it manually after using AI to write it using third-party tools. So what we've been using especially has been this tool called SEO writing.ai. Fabulous tool. So let's say we're writing our first blog here, how to create your strength training program. What we would do is we take that topic name, and let's say our target keyword is, how to create strength training for beginners at gyms. First strength training program. Starting a strength training program, okay? Let's say this is our target keyword. Again, you want to do more keyword research than that, but let's say this is our target, right? So we'd go here to SEO writing, we'd enter that as our main keyword. We generate a title. I typically don't end up using the title that it gives me, but it's a decent placeholder. Yeah, like that's probably not what we're going to want to use, but we'll skip. For the article size, this really depends on what the competitor articles are doing, how long they are. So you'll have to go through them. I typically wouldn't do much less than medium though, because the thing about AI content is it can be repetitive, but you want to go bigger than not, because oftentimes because easy to cut down the repetition and still have a pretty good length of article, but if it's too short to begin with, then it's going to be really difficult. And when it comes to editing, you're going to just chop it down to nothing. So for our model, we're going to do Claude 3 Opus. That's, in my opinion, the best AI model out there currently. For the tone of voice, I've been testing this one a little bit too. I don't have a definitive, you know, I don't have one that really stands out to me. I usually end up using professional or friendly, um, but again, this sort of comes down to your preference. I don't notice a huge difference for the most part. Professional can be a little bit formal, in my opinion, but friendly is usually a good middle ground. For point of view, if you want to make this article from the standpoint of the writer, or the brand, then I would suggest doing first person. I think this also helps a little bit with the whole EEAT thing in Google, where basically you want to have content written from the point of expertise and experience. So I think by doing that, you're making it come across more experience, more, from that person's perspective. So I typically do this. Target country for this will be United States. We'll go down here. For details to include, this also depends on who you're writing it for. So let's say our brand, this is a blog for a brand called Strength RS. Great name. We specialize in men's fitness and nutrition topics, and we sell supplements, something along those lines. You can also include AI images. I would recommend, you can leave this on, it's nothing wrong with it, but you're probably not going to end up using them. First of all, I think AI images can be a little risky, especially if they're just not really, if they don't look realistic at all. Like if the human, I noticed it a lot on like people in AI, like they could have 6 fingers and, it can just look a little bit unrealistic. So leave it on, why not? But you might not end up using those. You can leave that checked, that's fine. For the alt text, YouTube videos, yes, it can be hit or miss as well, but you never know. Sometimes they'll include a video that's relevant, and YouTube videos can help UX. People stay on the page and engage with your content more. For the keywords to include, you can start out with this. This is going to give you kind of the NLP, the natural language processing keywords, which is really what Google uses heavily, relies on heavily when it comes to weighting keywords and ranking keywords and so forth. You can also add to this list. So if you did keyword research and you looked at a competitor website and you saw they were ranking for a bunch of additional keywords on that post, it's a good idea to include them here. For the structure, typically you'll start out with either a question or a statistical or fact. Typically I'll do a question. I think questions kind of just get the ball rolling a little bit, makes people think. For this section here, so this is how the content's going to be displayed, right? So it's not really going to affect the word count. You already set the word count. It's just going to affect how that word count is divvied up. So typically I'll leave conclusion on. I'll turn off italics and bold because it's not 2016 anymore. Quotes, I'll turn that off usually because those can be really random and not relevant. For this, I'll keep the key takeaways on. I think having a summary at the top, which is what that is, where it has a couple bullet points, I think that can help users. It can give them the information they need. FAQs I'll leave on. Lists I'll leave on. Everything else I'll leave on. That's okay for now. You can also set internal linking. So if it's a WordPress site and you have it loaded up in here, you can have it automatically assign internal links. I've never tested this. I would still, I'd probably do it manually myself just to make sure it's done the way we want it, but you can do that. External linking, this will automatically choose a couple relevant external links. Again, you'll have to watch this because sometimes it will link to competitor sites, which is not good, but it could be relevant if it's including a statistic, right? And it's linking out to a credible source. Access to web. So here, if you choose deep web, it's going to pull information from hundreds of different websites, which can be super useful. Typically, we will not do citations. It depends. I mean, if you're doing an article for a health medical journal or something like that, then yes. But typically, I'll leave that as a no. For sourcing links, that's going to be a no here. And then the search source, I'm going to leave it on real-time search. So it's just going to look at whatever's currently in the search results, and it's going to pull from that. For the outline editor, I'm going to leave this blank because we don't really have sort of a pre-format that we want to use for this. And that's going to be it. So the next step is we're going to run it, and we're going to see what it gives us. So here's the output. We can see that it's about 3,800 words, which is pretty good for a starting point. We'll probably want to whittle that down if we have repetitive content. But you can tell right away the images are probably not going to work too great. This is a little cartoony. See, it does have a YouTube video, but again, this is a men's brand, so this might not work. But then again, it might work. I mean, I don't know. You just have to go through and just QA all this stuff, make sure it's relevant. Yeah, probably not going to work with the misspellings and everything there. So yeah, again, typically I don't use the AI images. That looks kind of cool, but typically I won't use the AI images just because it can be all over the place, but you never know. So now you just want to go through this content and just QA it. I usually put it in a separate Word doc and then essentially go through it and check for, if there's any grammar issues or just repetition. And then once all that stuff is sussed out and you've kind of got it to a place where at least it sounds good, then I will pull up a tool called Page Optimizer Pro where I can plug the content in and sort of SEO optimize it. Make sure that it's in line with the top ranking competitors so that we have a better chance of ranking. So I'll show you really quickly how that. Here's what the content editor looks like in Page Optimizer Pro. It's really easy to use. Essentially, I inputted the target keyword we're after. You can enter the domain name or the page. If you're working on a live page, you can do that. But for this isn't a live page, so we just entered the keyword and we just said this page isn't built yet. And here we're in the sort of the dashboard area where it shows you all of the target keywords, or essentially, first and secondary keywords. They call it important terms, but these are terms that you'll want to include in each spot within the page. So the first one is the search engine title, which is your title tag, then the page title, which is your H1, then your subheading, so H2, H3, and so forth. And then you have the main content, which is just, your paragraphs, right? So this helps you craft your post in a way that Google wants to see because this is going based on what's ranking. Now, I think you got to take this a little bit with a grain of salt. It's not completely gospel like it would have been maybe a few years ago. Especially with the latest updates, Google has explicitly come out and they've said, hey, the content needs to really be written completely naturally, not in a way that's just purely to game, the search engine. So you have to be mindful of that. But I do think it's important to still run it through here and just get a sense of where it stands compared to the people that are ranking. And they have an option here now. So it says consider over optimization. So you can read here when you hover over it. Over optimization for individual terms can be problematic, though not all the time. If you reach a score of 100% and your page still isn't ranking, so essentially you optimize the content, you get to 100% in Page Optimizer, but it's been a few weeks and the page still isn't ranking, then you could go back here and kind of run it through again and try to de-optimize it. But of course, you want to be a little careful and not ruin all the work you put in. But so I would say anywhere from 60 to 80% is a pretty reasonable range. If it goes above that, okay, that's fine. But you don't want to just keep gaming it and trying to optimize every little inch of it to get to that 100. I just think that's kind of pointless nowadays. So to get started, we hit Content Editor. That's going to take us to a new window, and we have our AI content ready to go. So what we'll do is we'll go back here to SEOwriting.ai. We'll just copy the whole document, then go back into Page Optimizer and paste it. And now we have all of our text here with the images included. You don't really need the images there, but that's fine. They also have a head editor. So here you'll want to enter your title tag because again, it's going to look at title tag as a very important signal, SEO signal. So we'll want to make sure that we have something here. So let's say for this example, let's capitalize it. Let's say starting strength training program, and then we don't have a real website. Let's just say testing.com, right? That probably is a real website, but I don't know. Testing 123, whatever. Okay. Close that title up. So now we have a realistic title tag, and it's going to, Page Optimizer will recognize that when we hit click to start right here. And you can see it's actually very well optimized from the beginning. So this is a terrible example to use, and I'm sorry for that. But I mean, no, this is great. So we can see here that our word count's a little high, which is a good thing because I'm sure there's a lot in here that we would have trimmed down. Like I said before, typically the step in between putting it into Page Optimizer and creating the AI content is typically we'll paste this into a Word doc and we'll just go line by line and cut down a lot of this stuff because a lot of this text is going to be really repetitive. That's just how AI goes. So we do that first, and that's probably going to get this down to under 3,000, maybe even 2,500 or less, somewhere in there, which would be perfect with that target or, closer to that target. But the fact that it's at 82, I probably wouldn't do much with this, assuming that everything else is good to go. Probably not use the AI images, but that's okay. But yeah, once you've gotten it to a place you like it like that, then you're good to publish, basically. Then we would go into the CMS, publish it, and that's really it. And that's pretty much the process that we use on this piece of content, or sorry, on this website here, on the content written for this website. This was literally just using ChatGPT, Claude.ai, which is similar to Chat, and just optimizing, just finding topics and then organizing the topics in a sheet like this and assigning it target keywords, then writing the content using a high quality AI model like Claude Opus, taking that content, trimming it down, plugging it into Page Optimizer, getting a good score, uploading it to the website, and getting clicks and impressions, starting to rank and make the client really happy. And that's about it. So if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Feel free to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.